Today on Match Play.
Hit it, hit it, hit it.
Match Play. Match Play. Match Play.
Welcome to Match Play. I'm at the beautiful Phoenix Country Club today with my friend, longtime, and of course, a former Schwab Cup champion. Of course, I'm talking about Tom Lehman.
Hey, Ray.
Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be with you. Appreciate it.
Tom, I know that you were part of a redesign of this iconic Phoenix Country
Yeah.
Club a number of years ago. Tell me what you found at that time and how you and the team shaped it and changed it a bit.
Yeah, well, anybody who's been around here for a long time will remember all the changes that were made throughout the years. And the facts of the matter are this, is that this is the oldest club in the Phoenix area, maybe the oldest club in Arizona. I think it was originally built and designed in like 1919 or 1918. So it goes back a long, long way.
Yeah.
And it was a very much a classic golf course. There may have been through the years, through the early 20s, when it became what would be a very, I would say, classic style golf course. Push-up greens, deep bunkers set into the edges. And they had all the history that went with that when they held the Phoenix Open here through the years.
So many years and years of the Phoenix
Right.
Open, and we're the two iconic palm trees behind us here that are symbolic of Phoenix Country Club. They were probably just
Yeah, babies.
babies then.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so I think over the course of years, different greens committees, they start adding trees, they start adding bunkers, they start taking away bunkers. The greens aren't working, we're going to redo the greens. They redo the greens, and before you know it, you get to the 1990s, and the
Yeah.
course looked like it had been built in 1975.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, were they doing that along those decades in order to keep up with the tour and the Phoenix Open, or were they doing this just to continue to update the course for the members?
There's all kinds of reasons that courses make changes. Maybe it's a safety issue. Maybe they're trying to contain golf balls instead of let them run around and run away. I mean, they kind of respond to some of the issues within the club and maybe in the way the course is playing, and maybe it's agronomic, maybe it's safety, maybe it's strategic, who knows, but they kind of all get responding to what's going on at the time, and they make changes.
Yeah.
So the cumulative effect of that was the oldest golf course in Arizona looked like it was built probably in the late 60s or early 70s, and they wanted to kind of take it back and make it look like it was built in the 20s.
Yeah. Schwab Cup Championship coming up. You're a former Schwab Cup champion, but let's go back just a little bit for everybody who may not know. A Minnesotan,
Yeah.
University of Minnesota, and from there, you had some tough times with golf after the university. Golf didn't come to you as a professional so easy,
No.
and you ended up traveling the world to find status.
And what a blessing that was.
So playing in South Africa, playing in Asia, playing on the Japan Tour, playing all over except for in America for those, I think it was about 5 or 6 years, wasn't it? Why did you find success when you came back to America? In other words, what did you learn? Were you tournament tough? Were you somehow or other changed by that international play?
Well, I would play a portion of the year overseas and then the rest of the year here in the States. So it wasn't entirely overseas, but it was a good part of the year. And the difficult thing about playing overseas was it was always modeled after the way the PGA Tour used to be. Monday qualifyings to get into the tournament.
Yeah.
And then if you made the cut, then you were exempt the next week. And so it benefited you to make cuts. It benefited you to get on a consistent roll where every week you're in the mix so that you can play the next week. If you missed, you had to go back to the Monday qualifying. And I remember clearly missing the cut in Korea one time. My biggest lesson through all of that was without question to fight for every single shot, no matter what the circumstance. Don't ever give up on a round, don't ever give up on a shot, don't ever give up on a hole. Fight for everything, because at some point maybe the worm will turn and you sneak in, you make that cut.
Wow.
And then you're exempt again the next week.
Well, you became Player of the Year on that tour.
Yep.
You then went on to the PGA Tour. you have, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 5 wins on the PGA Tour in your career, the last one being the Phoenix Open. And during that time, a British Open championship, a Memorial. You won at Colonial in Fort Worth. And for 3 years in a row, if I remember correctly, and I want to say, ooh, you'll have to help me with the years, but I want to say 95, 96, and 97, Tom. I believe that you had the 54-hole lead in 3 consecutive U.S. Opens. Which one got away that stung the most?
The one that I really think about most often is that Congressional. I think I had the lead, maybe tied for the lead, had birdied 15 to go from, I think, a shot behind in the last round to tying the lead with 3 holes to play.
Yep.
And then people always talk about the 17th hole there. I hit it in the water on 17 and made a bogey. But the 16th hole is the mistake. I made a bogey on 16. The reason being is that may have been the best I ever played in the U.S. Open. I played so well that week, from start to finish, all the way to the end. But the one thing you can't do in a U.S. Open is get too aggressive.
Yeah.
You can't bite off more than you should bite off, because if you start trying to make such fine lines where there's no room for error, eventually that small error, and it can be small.
Are you talking about going for a pin?
Yeah, so 16, the pin was back right, which is not a good pin for me but I was hitting it so well, I went right at that pin, and I just hung it. We're talking literally 3 or 4 feet, and it was just a hair short under the hole where it should be, but caught the rough, went down and didn't go in the bunker, stayed in the thick grass, terrible lie, made bogey. So now I'm a shot behind, and so you think about all of those things, and if I could play any shot over in my entire career,
it would be that.
It's that second shot on 16.
And what shot would it have been today?
Well, I would have aimed at 15 feet left.
Well, you went on to have a wonderful couple of 3 or 4 years in the middle. Of course, your entire career has been great, but you had a real playing spurt, a winning spurt, where you achieved world #1 status.
Yep.
You won the Open Championship at Royal Lytham in St. Anne's, and that's an unbelievable story. And I've got to touch down there at the British Open. During that year that you won, you were the leader by 6 strokes going into the final round. And in the media center, the night after the 3rd round, they asked you a question that you didn't like.
Yeah,
They made you angry.
They did.
You did not like the question, and of course the question was because the next day you were going to be playing with Sir Nick Faldo. And Nick had beat Greg Norman at the Masters with a 6-stroke lead, and here you were playing with him at the Open with a 6-stroke lead over Nick, and they wanted to know, could you be beat? Would lightning strike in a bottle twice for Sir Nick?
Yeah.
And you didn't like that.
Well, no, I didn't, and for
Why
so many obvious reasons.
But the obvious would be.
Obvious reason is it's true. Okay, so Norman's leading by 6, playing with Faldo at Augusta, and throws the lead away entirely on the front 9 and loses by 4.
Correct, but Faldo also shot a great round to win that too.
He played well.
Norman lost, but Faldo won.
Yep.
But did that put it in your head and you slept on that?
That's why I didn't
night?
like it, because I felt like they were trying to plant a seed in my head about.
In order to be in favor of him winning.
Yes, and so that's why it made me mad.
Ooh, a little continental, partisanship going on.
And it's an obvious question, but
maybe not.
It didn't have to
then,
be
though.
the first one.
It could have been on Tuesday.
It could have been the 10th question.
Well, because you had the 6-stroke lead, though, so they didn't know to ask.
So let's talk about the course record I shot first.
Yeah. Well, you didn't like it, but you did go on and you won. You beat Nick Faldo in that final round. And you did go on. Was it a match play for you with Nick in the final round? Because I remember you saying, I remember listening to you talk about it years later and saying, if I just play my game, I don't care what anybody else does, they can't beat me. Yep. I'm unbeatable if I just play my game.
Correct. Playing with a guy who's in second place, you're very aware, of, okay, I'm starting with the 6-shot lead, and, it could go either way. It could be 7, 8, 9, 10, or it could be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Couples was making a move, Ernie Els was making a move. There's other guys who had already gotten to within 3 shots. I wasn't playing as well on Sundays as I had been the previous 3 days, but I was really managing my game, You know, and I've watched the replay since, and I realized, you know, looking back about it, is I hit a lot of really good shots.
Yeah.
So as I watched the replay, you know, I go, well, yeah, I didn't play anywhere near as poorly as I thought I played.
Yeah.
I played actually pretty doggone good.
Yeah.
I mean, I hit a lot of fairways, I hit a lot of greens, just didn't get any putts to go in the hole, made no birdies. But on the 12th hole, which is the hardest hole in the back nine, I think a par 3, and the gap had narrowed to 3 shots. I hit this beautiful 4-iron in there on a really difficult pin to about 15 feet and made it for birdie to increase my margin to 4 with 6 holes to play. And then even par for the day. You know, like we go back to what he said, like, you know, it was breezy. You know, what is a great score today? Well, a great score today may be 2 or 3 under.
Yeah.
4 under maybe. So if
Yeah.
I shoot even par, you know, I can't be beaten.
No.
You know, so I made a birdie to get back to even for the day and felt confident about my game. And I kind of felt at that point I was in total control.
We'll be back with more match play right after these messages.
There is a place where reality exceeds your dreams, where time is not measured in days, hours, or minutes, but in smiles, new experiences, and new friends. A place where happiness is not a feeling, it's a way of life. Here, you're not just a visitor, you're family. There are many languages in the world, and our smile speaks them all.
Introducing the Putting Stroke Teacher Training Aid.
The putting stroke teacher helps the better player, the PGA Tour player, the pro that wants to get out on tour, because the first thing it's going to do is get these forearms lined up square and your shoulders lined up square. And that's the thing my dad and I worked on when I led the tour in putting, and it's the thing I'm constantly checking today to make sure that those are lined up. And that's going to really affect the path that the putter head swings on. Very easy to set up. You just take 2 pieces, stick them together, put it on the end of your putter, 2 little Velcro straps, and boom, you're in and you're ready to go. It's not big, it's very tiny. You can take it apart and stick it in your golf bag. Get the Putting Stroke Teacher and make more putts.
Order the Putting Stroke Teacher today. And now back to match play with your host, Ray Adams.
All right, we're back with Tom Lehman on Match Play with Ray Adams today, Tom. And, you know, this British Open Championship for you was obviously a highlight, or maybe the highlight of your career in playing golf. You went on to become the PGA Tour Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. You were the PGA Player of the Year. You were Barton Trophy, money winner. I mean, world #1. You really had everything in the world going for you. Mm-hmm. And yet it was during this time, and you played at the Masters Golf Tournament, right around this era, when you learned that you had colon cancer.
Yeah.
And no one knew about it, I think, other than maybe your immediate family.
Correct.
And years later, you came out to talk all about that, which obviously helps people.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that for a moment?
Absolutely.
Tell me about how you found out. How did you know you had a problem to even go to the doctor anyway? Did you have pain? Was there, what happened to you?
Well, I was, first and foremost, unbelievably fortunate that I exhibited symptoms when I did, because it was simply stage 1 colon cancer.
Okay.
And it was at a stage where almost nobody has symptoms. And, you know, I take Advil because, you know, I have aches and pains, knee issues or whatever. And I think the Advil was irritating enough to where I had exhibited a huge amount of bleeding.
Wow.
And at the Masters, and you know, my brother's father-in-law, who was a Mayo Clinic doctor, said, look, this is something that you need to check out. You know, you don't have to do it immediately today. You know, if you're playing next week at Hilton Head, you know, you can do that too. But
okay. But
you need to make plans so when you go home, you get this checked. And so we did. And so, you know, stage 1 colon cancer, it was dealt with the way you deal with that kind of thing. And I've lived my life happily ever since, which is the beautiful thing about the treatment of colon cancer. If you catch it early, your survival rate is nearly 100%.
Yes. Now, you had, of course, your personal faith.
Yep.
You had wonderful family, and I think I read somewhere where you said that you pretty much just went right through it, played through it, didn't have to go through a lot of the things that people that have more advanced types of cancer do.
Yep.
As a blessing to you, it was, but that it was awful tough on your wife.
Well, the uncertainty for anybody who's been through anything, and my story is minor compared to so many others.
Yeah.
But the uncertainty of not knowing is what is so difficult, and I think that's really where your faith comes in and plays a big part, is maintaining some sense of calm and peace, through that unknowing time. But the reason I never really talked about it, it was pretty simple in my mind. It was simply that, hey, I just had this, stage 1 thing. It's like a blister or a mosquito bite compared to what somebody else has. So
if you had a word of encouragement to the viewers, what would Tom Lehman tell them?
So my advice to everybody would be this: do early screening, start when you're young, because what you will do is, if you have something going on, you will catch it early, and that early stage detection will save your life.
You were in your 30s.
Yes, sir.
So a young man that you would never even dream of anything like that.
Yep.
And that was also 30 years ago, or maybe a little less, but when there wasn't so much talk about early detection and different screenings and all of that about it. There wasn't a lot of talk about it.
No.
And so how fortunate you were, and how much did you fall back on your faith at that time?
Well, the answer to the, in a global answer is, I always lean on it. And I do think that one of the things about having a strong faith in God and trying to live my life according to what I believe does kind of put things in perspective. And so, like, I tend to not get too wound up by the highs, and certainly don't get too wound up by the lows. I tend to feel like, okay, well, I'm not going through this alone. Don't know why. Either it's something to do with me, or maybe it's a close friend or family person. I don't know why, but I do know that we have the ability to walk through this, with a God who cares.
Wonderful word of encouragement from Tom Lehman. Well, you went on PGA Player of the Year, now your second honor in that regard on another tour. You went on to the Champions Tour, and we all know 12 wins. This year, early in the year, you won over in Hawaii, playing with, I know the folks at Tour Edge were very excited about that, because I was with them at Lake Nona during the Orlando PGA Golf Show the very next day after you had won it. Everybody's so excited, and that was a wonderful win for you. And you went on to become not only just 12 wins, but a Schwab Cup champion, money leader, and a Champions Tour Player of the Year, making Tom Lehman the only person in history that has become the Player of the Year on all 3 tours. What an honor.
Yeah, I know.
But that means great, consistent golf.
I would say that if I could, there's a few things that I'm most proud of. Being number 1 in the world is the top of the list for me. Nobody hands that one to you. You've got to earn it. And so that is the thing that I am most proud of. And there's other things too, that, specific things that I'm very proud of. But one of the things that I've always prided myself in, and that I am very proud of, is the fact that my career, once I kind of got on track through the Hogan Tour, has never really stumbled. I think I've had steadily outstanding play. Maybe not always great.
Super consistent.
For a long time.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about transitioning life from the PGA Tour over to the Champions Tour, of which you're here to play again in yet another Schwab Cup Championship. You'll be here in a few weeks again at Phoenix Country Club.
I think at the stage of the game that we're out on the Champions Tour, the game is probably more like it was when we were maybe in college and as an amateur. You're still getting paid and all that kind of stuff, but the meat of our career is over. I mean, the significant things you accomplish, number 1 in the world, Ryder Cups, those are all behind us. So everything that happens now is just frosting on the cake. So if you love to compete, and you love the game, and you love the lifestyle, you will continue to work at your game because you just enjoy what it can do for you, which is where I'm at. So I love the people I compete against. I think they're just so much great guys, and I love being out there with them. I loved hitting balls. I love going out and trying to post a score and do well in events. I love looking forward to tournaments that I love, or cities I love going to. So the lifestyle on the Champions Tour is exceptional.
Well, I promised you this question, and here it comes. You continue to play in the British Open, of course, as a former champion all the way. And then this past summer, you may have played in your last Open Championship. We hope not, but you may have. And I know coming down the 18th fairway with your son carrying for you as your caddy, there was a very, very poignant moment that occurred. And as you got into the green, you leaned over to him. You were hugging each other, arm in arm, walking, he with the bag, you with your son. And you said something to him. Would you mind sharing what you told him?
Well, I told him how much I loved him, first of all, and how much it meant to me that he was there with me. Then I told him, I said, but maybe next time this happens, you'll be the one playing and I'll be the one caddying for you.
Wow.
So that would be a dream come true for sure. But to add to that is that we got to the 17th green.
Yeah.
And I was very emotional starting on about the 16th hole. I just couldn't keep
Were
the
you
tears
tearing
on my
up?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I knew they, I've been grinding all week long trying to play well in this tournament, and I'm not playing well at all. This is the last hurrah. These last few holes that you really kind of hit home to me. So I said, you know what? And Mom's right over there outside the ropes. I want you to get her and bring her to the 18th tee. I went over and talked to the RNA official, and I said, look, my wife is walking outside the ropes. She's been with me on this journey from the beginning, through thick and through thin, through good and through bad. I mean, she's been right there, walking along outside the ropes, along with me since the beginning. Yeah. I would like for you just to say yes to this question. I don't want you to call it in. I don't want you to ask the guys back in the office. I just want you to say yes, because here's what I'd like. I'd like for her to walk inside the ropes with us down the 18th fairway.
Oh, wow.
And so she can walk back with you, 40 yards behind, but I want to share that walk with Thomas and I on the 18th hole.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, you got the yes.
He said yes, okay.
Wonderful, of course you would.
So she did.
Fantastic. Well, Melissa started out with you in golf, I believe, carrying your bag.
She did.
She was a caddy of Tom Lehman's in the early days. All right. Yeah. You had another honor come to you, yet another of the many, and that is you were chosen to be the Ryder Cup captain for the competition with Europe over in Europe at the K Club in Ireland. And unfortunately, the team did not.
You got beat.
You got beat. So I have to ask you, and we've talked about this before, off camera, off mic. Why are we struggling beating the Europeans anymore? We just can't seem to win it. Maybe one here and one there, but for years we've been getting shellacked. Yeah. Why?
Yeah, and the only time we win is at home.
Well,
so when we do win, it's at home. We never win over there.
2 out of the last however many years.
Yeah,
so we've lost at home too, though.
We have lost, but I think we've won 3 times in the last 20 years, and or 15 years or whatever, and we won in '99, so it's been 3 times in 20 years.
Why can't we beat them?
So. Well, I know Nick Follow has an opinion. I'd love to hear it.
Well, when Nick and I sat down a number of months ago in Orlando, he said, because he said, you're thinking about it too much. You're thinking about it too much. And he said, the other thing, he said, I did the stats. He said, when the Americans, at Glen Eagles, Europe shot 80 under par, and the Americans were like 100 and whatever under par. In France this past Ryder Cup, he said the Americans shot a collective 59 under par, and Europe was 80 under par. He said, so I'd take a look at that. It's your golfers playing golf. What say you?
I can tell you what I see. I saw, like at Hazeltine, an incredibly positive U.S. team from the beginning of the week. They came into Hazeltine with this incredibly upbeat team vibe.
Yeah.
As opposed to in France, where the vibe was completely different.
Yeah.
It seemed like nobody on the team liked the course. Everybody's worn out from the whole FedEx Cup playoff thing, which was finished the week before. The whole vibe was different.
We'll be back with more Match Play right after these messages.
Get fit, spend less, play better. HL4 by Tour Edge is custom-fit innovation for every golfer. Dial in your game with state-of-the-art technology designed to outperform clubs costing twice as much. Hand-built in the USA, backed by a lifetime warranty, and shipped with our 48-hour delivery guarantee. Shop online or visit one of our 750 fitting locations today. HL4 by Tour Edge. Get fit, spend less, play better.
Are you struggling with back, neck, or shoulder pain? You don't have to suffer anymore. Introducing the Back Relief from Dr. Soothe, a therapeutic vest that provides targeted hot or cold therapy to your neck, shoulders, spine, and lower back. Just place Back Relief in the microwave for hot therapy or the freezer for cold therapy. Its compressive design will uniformly deliver soothing pain and stress relief while you enjoy all of your everyday activities. It's also washable. Don't suffer anymore. Try the Back Relief from Dr. Soothe today.
There is a place where reality exceeds your dreams, where time is not measured in days, hours, or minutes, but in smiles, new experiences, and new friends. A place where happiness is not a feeling, it's a way of life. Here, you're not just a visitor, you're family. There are many languages in the world, and our smile speaks them all.
And now back to Match Play with your host, Ray Adams.
Tom Lehman spends a tremendous amount of time working with charitable organizations and has so throughout his career. I remember years ago at Troon Country Club, you invited me to MC a big golf event where you were raising funds for another charitable organization that you worked so diligently with. But now Tom is with Elevate Phoenix. And Tom, I can't wait to hear you tell us about this charitable organization that helps kids in the schools, and you're a co-founder.
Yeah.
What is Elevate Phoenix and what do they do?
Well, it serves kids who are the most disadvantaged, the kids who are the most at risk in the Phoenix area, mostly the Phoenix Union High School District, which is Carl Hayden and Trevor Brown and Maryvale. I mean, those schools where the kids are have the least opportunity.
Tom, is that because the kids are fending for themselves? There's nobody home?
Yeah.
What does Elevate do to support them in that situation?
Right, the kids have nobody really, for whatever the reason, and so they turn to gangs or something like that.
But they do go to school.
But they end up being in school for a while. You know, but there's a huge dropout rate, and you know the graduation rate of this demographic we're talking about is 50% or just slightly under in Phoenix.
Wow.
Now the kids that we're actually dealing with are kids who are at the most at risk of that category. So, I mean, the dropout rate with those kids that we're given may be 25 or 30% graduation rate. And so we go into the schools with these teacher mentors who teach a class, and the class is all about inner things, integrity, dealing with conflict. You know, what it ends up doing is building them up as people, building them up as kids, giving them confidence, teaching them the life skills they need to be successful. You know, why should I care about school? You know, why should I care about going to college? Why should I care about that person next to me?
And what are the graduation rates for those
98%.
kids? 98%. You've doubled it. You made it almost every child, almost every teenager gets through school.
But if you're an educator and you care about kids, these kinds of kids, you're a perfect fit for this program because the people who do go in, who are the teacher mentors, you know, they are credentialed to teach in the high schools.
Yeah. How does somebody get involved to maybe be one of these mentors or to donate or to help Elevate Phoenix?
We can go elevatephoenix.org. We have a website that tells you a lot about the program.
What a great opportunity for the kids and for teachers and for you and I to get involved, and you've helped create that in Elevate Phoenix. Thanks so much for being with me on Match Play today, Tom. Appreciate you so much.
You too.
Creating a revolutionary product starts by asking, what if? What if we loaded every inch with game-changing innovation? What if we had a flight tuning system to control ball flight, roll face and cup face technologies for explosive power, slipstream sole technology for more speed, and dual carbon tech with 8 adjustable loft settings? And what if all this technology and performance costs significantly less than the competition? Exotics EXS by Tour Edge. Pound for pound, nothing else comes close.